All right, welcome to another edition of Schwabbelglatt Productions. I'm here at Ben Slavic and Tina Hargaden's seminar in Chicago at Walcott School, and I'm here with Sean Lawler. Sean is a Spanish teacher that teaches with Comprehensible input. Thanks for sitting down with me, Sean. So just to start off, how did you learn Spanish, and how did you get interested in teaching Spanish?
I certainly didn't learn much Spanish in school. They were my worst grades for sure, like D's. I think I got dropped a level once. But I continued in college because my sister studied abroad in France, and I saw them doing that, and I wanted to do the same thing. I wanted to study abroad. So I took Spanish classes and got to study abroad my senior year. I lived in Madrid for a year. And then when I graduated from school, I sort of used it in the different jobs that I had, and then at school, when I became a teacher, I used it in schools. I first became an English teacher when I went through my teacher training program. I was an English teacher, and I gradually moved over to become a Spanish teacher. It took some time. So I've been teaching Spanish sort of full-time for like 5 years now.
Okay.
5-6 years.
And at what point did you transition to teaching with Comprehensible input?
Oh, I went to a one-day workshop by Hargaden about in 2012, I think it was.
Oh, okay.
A colleague dragged me to it, and it was amazing. She's so charismatic. You're like, wow, wouldn't I love to have her as a teacher? Didn't really think I could do anything that she taught in the school environment I was at with my lack of expertise. But I started to try it out. Then a year later, the whole TPRS thing. And then I discovered Ben Slavic. I went to an IFLT conference, I think it was in San Diego, it was in 2014. And I joined Ben Slavic's blog. After that, I learned a tremendous amount from Ben Slavic's and the blog and the members of the blog there. Really, I am so indebted to Ben and all the people for
Awesome.
all their ideas.
And you're transitioning to non-targeted input, is that right? Or you have transitioned already?
Well, I guess in some ways I have. I tried story listening, at the end of the year last year. I think that's like the purest form, right, of non-targeted in Benico Mason's work. So I've tried that out. Tried to experience what it's like to just talk to kids at length, tell a story at length, without really worrying too much about what words I'm using, so long as I keep it comprehensible, of course, and all that we do. And so I think that was a very valuable experience. I mean, I have a 2-year-old boy now, and I try to do the same thing with him.
Awesome.
And if the kids are following along with you, I think that's where the most gains come from. So
now with story listening, do you have to know how to draw? Because that's kind of kept me back from trying it out.
Yes.
I can't draw.
I know. Tell me about it. Oh my God, I tried drawing a Ferrari once, and it just looked like a potato. I think we got to learn how to draw those big, bold strokes.
So do you do any of the more traditional TPRS story asking in your class, or have you kind of transitioned to non-targeted, the Ben Slavic stuff? Like
I do. I did a lot of one-word images this past year. I started trying to use more student-created characters, where they create the characters on their own, but I have some work to do and getting them to create characters that are really meaningful and are workable in the classroom. I do still use story scripts every once in a while. There's some story scripts out there by Anna Matava that are just killer, and they're really nice to puncture in from time to time. Movie talks from time to time as well.
So what does a typical day in your classroom look like?
Oh gosh. 10 minutes of SSR. 25-30 minutes of auditory input, 10-15 minutes of some sort of reading exercise where I'm writing and they're filling in the blanks, or we read together, just 10-15 minutes to close the class period where we're writing what we talked about, writing it down, And
Okay, so you have 90-minute classes then, right?
Well, I did last
okay.
year, but now I have 50-minute classes, which I think is going to be so much better because with those block schedules, it was really hard. You had to, some of my brain breaks would like end up being 20 minutes just because we needed the extended break and we just needed to fill up some time. Because like the 25 minutes of auditory input is great. If you can extend it to 30 minutes, you're a genius. You have a real gift, you know. So
awesome. So what resources would you recommend to teachers wanting to kind of explore teaching with comprehensible input?
Oh my gosh, you know, that's a really good question. And of course, I have to mention Ben Slavic first and foremost because his online PLC, his blog, is unmatched anywhere in the field of education. I am going to put that down there because I don't think you can get such personalized attention and such thought and passion from a mentor like you would with Ben. But with that said, I think everybody becomes familiar with or is introduced to CI and TPRS and all that in a different way. And so it's just like, I wish I could come up with some analogy. It's like, I remember a yoga teacher once telling me that, you know, you can't lead anybody, you can't force anybody to go to yoga class and learn yoga. I love practicing yoga, but I have a bad back, I need that help. Maybe that's why it drew me to it, right? Because I had a bad back. So I probably, for those teachers, for those teachers who feel like they're frustrated with the way that they're teaching, then I would highly encourage you to explore like what Carol Gabb has out there, what Ben Slavic has out there. Go to the TPRS IFLT Facebook page, go to the Ben Slavic page, and just get to know people and get to see what they're doing and find your path. You know?
Yeah, one thing I like about Ben Slavic is that it seems like in his books, like the Big CI book or TPRS in a Year, he really has everything figured out for you. And he's really like foreseen all of the potential problems you could have in class with, you know, asking a story. You know, he really has it all figured out.
He's got it all figured out, man.
So,
I mean,
in addition to the Green Bible, of course, the Blaine Ray book.
Well, you know, I never felt
TPR storytelling, the green cover, the Green Bible.
The Green Bible, that's what I hear people say.
Yeah.
I never read the book. I learned so much through Ben Slavic's online community, all the members that have already done all that reading and sharing their expertise. Like Eric Herman shared so much, you know, a few years ago and so many others shared so much with what they researched and studied on his blog, and there's so much knowledge to be shared there. I've relied on others to tell me instead of me doing the research myself. And there's so many people out there willing to share. So yeah.
Great. Well, thanks for doing this interview with me, Sean, and I look forward to seeing the rest of this Ben Slavic seminar.
Thanks, Ray.